Hi, and welcome to the Seven Thunders video series. We are studying the vision of the little scroll of seven thunders in Revelation 10 because the clock and the key have been sealed within this scroll for 2,000 years, awaiting the time when the bride of Christ arrives at her midnight hour in age-to-age timekeeping, and that time is now. Today, I want to talk about the sound of the seven thunders. Sound is harmless, but the sound of thunder terrifies some people and animals, even though it is actually lightning that harms. And although John never mentions lightning in his description of the mighty angel, some scholars have suggested that the sound of thunder indicates an ominous message of gloom and doom. Commentary on Revelation 10:3 in the footnotes of the NIV Study Bible reads, in Revelation 8:5, 11:19, and 16:18, thunder relates to divine punishment. Here too, it anticipates the judgment to fall on those who refuse to accept God's love and grace. Is this an accurate interpretation of the little scroll and the sound of the seven thunders? This footnote in the NIV Study Bible equates the seven thunders with peals of thunder. At the opening of the seventh seal, the sounding of the seventh trumpet, and the pouring out of the seventh bowl of wrath. In all three instances, John writes, and there came peals of thunder, rumblings, flashes of lightning, and an earthquake. There's also a hailstorm included with the sounding of the seventh trumpet. A major problem surfaces when interpreting the seven thunders as God's divine punishment and judgment. The references cited in the NIV footnote all refer to thunder in the singular form of the word. This may not seem important, but it is. The seven thunders of Revelation 10 exist in plural form. It is thunders, plural, rather than thunder, singular. And we've already determined that the imagery surrounding the mighty angel who holds the little scroll is full of light. One can hardly imagine judgment or punishment, even if we believed in a God who punishes. In fact, the imagery within this vision does not describe any of the elements one would expect to accompany the sound of thunder in a literal weather-related event. This vision contains no horrifying lightning strikes, no ominous storm clouds, no ravaging winds, no torrential rains, pummeling hail, or violent earthquakes. So let's consider the idea that this grand interruption or grand intervention between the sixth and the seventh trumpets is exactly what the vision reports itself to be. It's a loud shout, like the roar of a lion who desires only one thing: to be heard. And remember, this is the open scroll that revealed God's grieving heart to Ezekiel. Grieving because no one in Ezekiel's lifetime was hearing God's voice. No one was listening for God's voice. Now, the plural word thunders is referenced 7 times in the scriptural tapestry. Notice the pattern of sevens again. In this case, however, the pattern is grouped in 3s and 4s rather than 6 and 1. But 3s and 4s is another consistent division of 7. Now, 3 of the 7 references to the word thunders are located within the vision of Revelation 10 itself, the seven thunders. Where are the 4 remaining references, and what do they say? Well, the 4 remaining references precede Revelation 10, and all 4 speak of God's thundering voice as a beautiful, impressive, divine sound. Listen. After it, his voice roars There's the lion. After it, his voice roars. He thunders with his majestic voice, and he does not restrain the lightning when his voice is heard. Job 37. God thunders wondrously with his voice. He does great things that we cannot comprehend. Job 37:5. And the voice of the Lord is over the waters. The God of glory thunders, the Lord over mighty waters. Psalm 29:33. And the fourth one reference is more majestic than the thunders of mighty waters, more majestic than the waves of the sea. Majestic on high is the Lord. Your decrees are very sure. Holiness befits your house, O Lord, forevermore. Psalm 93. More majestic than the thunders of mighty waters. After reviewing all 7 references to the plural use of the word thunders, we can confidently conclude that the scroll of 7 thunders reveals none other than the majesty and wonder of God's own voice. It is the sound of God's breath thundering through the whole of creation. What might happen if the collective human spirit heard these divine thunders today? Is humanity receptive to hearing God's voice in new ways? After 2,000 years of relying, solely on hearing God's voice through the written words of mortal souls, would it be refreshing to hear God's voice through the imagery of the 7 thunders? Is this the intention of the key embedded in the text of Genesis 1? To hear God's native voice thundering through light, color, and images of creation, instead of trying to hear God's voice through ancient languages and their vocabulary of confusing words. Yes, that is the purpose. Do the heavens tell the glory of God, and does the firmament proclaim God's handiwork? Yes. Do they pour forth speech day after day? Yes. Do they declare knowledge night after night? Yes. Do they communicate in silence without speech or words? Yes. This is the key to that knowledge, the knowledge of God's voice. Next up, a pledge of allegiance. Thanks for listening.